finished till the first page, প্রথম পেজটা আমাদের শেষ হয়ে গেছিল, আর আমরা এখন পরের পেজটা থেকে শুরু করব। তো এত অবধি কি হয়েছিল, what happened up till now, we learned that Sultana was started to see a dream, she was dreaming, and we also learned that she wakes up to find herself in a very strange land where there are no men. Instead, all the men in that land is called Ladyland, and we are introduced to a character called Sister Sarah. Sister Sarah was originally was Sultana's friend, but here we see that that identity has changed. That person is a different person. However, she is being called by the name Sister Sarah. So this signifies. বলো কি বলছো? কেউ দেখতে পাচ্ছ না স্ক্রিন?
দেখতে পাচ্ছি না ম্যাম, স্ক্রিন দেখতে পাচ্ছি না।
এইবার দেখতে পাচ্ছ? ঠিক আছে, okay. So this, as I was saying, this signifies that even a different person, a separate person, she is being called by the name Sister Sarah by Sultana, and this person is not objecting. She is not saying that no, you will not call me by that name because that is not my name. This symbolizes, or this signifies, that this woman, that this new woman, this different woman is also a friend to Sultana. This is also a signification of the fact that since this is a feminist story that we are reading, so this signifies a fact, this signifies the importance of this signifies the importance of what is known as the sisterhood. I'm writing it in the chat box. Yes. So sisterhood means where each and every woman stands for each other or supports each other. That is what is known as sisterhood. So sisterhood is a very essential thing, or it is very important in patriarchy, in a society where men rule, where the wishes and desires of the women are not given any attention to. They are kept locked in the zanana, they are kept locked inside the household, and they are only responsible for giving birth to children, and they are responsible maybe for cooking and cleaning the household and nothing else. So in a society like that, where the role of women is reduced, or where the role of women is shrinked, or decreased to something so less, something that which contributes, maybe it is not less, but in the eyes of men, or in the eyes of the society that is ruled by men, these things are considered, or these responsibilities are considered to be very fruitless. So only those jobs, or the work that men do, that is outside of the home, and in the world, that is only which they consider to be the most important. And moreover, the jobs or the work that men do outside of the home in the world, they are paid for the work in return, in money, in monetary terms, in monetary currency. But a woman who works within the household, rears up children, cooks food for each and every person in the family, looks after the house, cleans the house, keeps it beautiful, makes it a home, she is not repaid, or she is not compensated in any monetary terms. Her work is something that we consider that she should do. আমরা বাড়িতে গৃহবধূ থাকা, বাড়িতে থাকা যে বউরা হয় বা যে মহিলারা হয়, তাদের কাজ যেটা হয়, বা তাদের দায়িত্ববোধ, তাদের সাংসারিক দায়িত্ববোধ যেটা হয়, সেটাকে আমরা কনসিডার করি। আমরাই বলছি, আমরা সবাই ইনক্লুডেড এই চিন্তাধারাটার মধ্যে। তো আমরা কনসিডার করি, আমরা ভাবি যে সে তো এই কাজটা করছে কারণ সেটা এটা ওর দায়িত্ব বলে, এইটার জন্য তাকে কিছু রিটার্নস দিতে হবে না, তাকে কিছু রিটার্ন সে এক্সপেক্টও করে না। ট্রু, মেবি শি ডাজ নট এক্সপেক্ট এনিথিং ইন রিটার্ন, বাট সিন্স ইন আ সোসাইটি where we know the worth of money, what money is worth in a society, how much being self sustained is necessary in this society, আত্মনির্ভর হওয়া কতটা দরকার এই সমাজে আমরা যে জানি। সুতরাং আমরা এইটা জানার পরে, after knowing this, after having this knowledge, we may say that any work or any job, suppose the job of a housewife, which is not considered in monetary terms, is not considered important as well. So this calls for this sentiment within the society, this how should I put it, this very sexist, মানে যেখানে আমরা আর কি জেন্ডার বা ধরো we divide the roles according to the sex of a human being, যে since a woman is weaker, so called weaker physically, she is supposed to stay within the house. একদম পুরনো খ্রিস্টান মিথও এটাই বলে। Christianity, the most influencing religion, and of course the language of which religion or the language of which people we are reading, এই গল্পটা ওদের ভাষাতেই লেখা হয়েছে, ইংরেজি ভাষাতেই লেখা। So the myth of Christianity that said that women should work within the home and give birth to children, and men should work outside and bring food back at home. তো যেখানে responsibilities have been divided according to sex, and those same responsibilities are looked down upon, আমরা সেই দায়িত্বগুলোকে নিচু করে দেখি, আমরা অসম্মান করি, because the other part of it, because the other side of it, the responsibilities of men, they are considered to be monetarily useful to the society, useful to the economy, useful to the country, etc., etc. So this discrimination between the sexes from before and then after, both before the society and then after the society, after it was formed, এই ডিসক্রিমিনেশন হচ্ছে, যে তুমি মহিলা, তুমি উইক বলে তুমি বাড়ির ভেতরে থাকবে, আবার তুমি বাড়ির ভেতরে আছো বলেই তোমার কাজের কোনো, তুমি যে কাজটা করো তোমার আউটপুটের কোনো দাম নেই, কোনো মনিটারি, কোনো ফাইন্যান্সিয়াল দাম নেই। এই যে ডিফারেন্সিয়েশন অর ডিস্টিংশন or discrimination at both these levels, sexist discrimination based on sex, this calls for, according to feminist theories, this calls for a collective idea of sisterhood, where each and every woman stands up for each other, to each his own, না আমরা এই to each his own এই কথাটা খুব বলে থাকি, this proverb we use, to each his own, but sisterhood does not see it like that. Sisterhood sees that each and every woman should stand up for each other. So even if this woman is not the real sister Sarah, she stands up to her role as a fellow woman, as a woman who had been historically, if I should put it, historically differentiated against. She stands up for help to the Sultana. She does not send away Sultana, বা সুলতানা কিরকম পাড়ি পাঠিয়ে দিচ্ছে না, বা এরকম দূরছাই করছে না যে no I am not sister Sarah. This shows a common or mutual solidarity, an equality, an equal standing upon which both of these women are present. So we also learn in this story that in this land, in this town, or in this place called the Lady Land, there are no men, and in a very how should I put it, in a very fictionalized or imaginative narrative, here we find that in Lady Land there are no men, or the men do not work outside. The roles are completely reversed in Ladyland, and we have the woman working outside and the men living inside, living locked in a zanana. One moment. Rakhi Jana, are you here? রাখি জানা কি আমি দেখতে পাচ্ছি এখানে? হ্যাঁ, তুমি কি আমার ক্লাসেরই স্টুডেন্ট, থার্ড সেম জেনারেল? তোমার তুমি অনার্স স্টুডেন্ট? তোমার এই যে ইংলিশ সিলেক্টিভেও আছে? হ্যালো,
শুনতে পাচ্ছি না, বলুন।
তোমার ইংলিশটা কি ইলেকটিভেও আছে?
হ্যাঁ,
তুমি কি আমার ক্লাস তো করো না আমার মনে হয়, এই ক্লাসে তো তোমাকে প্রথম দেখছি।
না
কেন ক্লাস করো না কেন? why don't you attend classes?
ম্যাম, আমাদের বাড়িতে একটু প্রবলেম আছে, মানে ফোনের প্রবলেম আছে আসলে।
ফোনের প্রবলেম মানে ইন্টারনেটের প্রবলেম?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
তো তুমি অনার্স ক্লাসগুলো অ্যাটেন্ড করতে পারো?
ম্যাম, আমি সব ক্লাস অ্যাটেন্ড করি না।
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে, ঠিক আছে, দাঁড়াও এক সেকেন্ড। Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, so let's continue with the story. Mute karo নিজেকে। How funny, I burst into a laugh. Sister Sarah laughed too. But dear Sultana, how unfair it is to shut in the harmless women and let loose the men. Why? It is not safe for us to come out of the zanana as we are naturally weak. Yes, it is not safe so long as there are men about the streets, nor is it so when a wild animal enters a marketplace. So what is happening over here? Here we have a very interesting conversation taking place between the Sultana and Sister Sarah. Sister Sarah is saying, let's see how she's saying over here, how unfair it is to shut in the harmless women and let loose the men. So harmless women as opposed to men who are harmful. How are they harmful? So Sultana asks, it is not safe for us to come out of the zanana as we are naturally weak. So women have been kept locked within the houses, and it is not just that only the men are responsible for this. মহিলাদের যে খারাপ অবস্থা বা মহিলাদের সাথে যে অত্যাচার বা অপপ্রচার হয়ে থাকে, এটার অনেক ক্ষেত্রে বা অনেক জায়গায় মহিলারা নিজেই কারণ হয়ে থাকে। It is because we or some of us minds, they work like this, like the Sultana. The Sultana says that we are naturally weak and therefore it is not safe for us to come outside of the house. So this is something that men have told her. This is something that men in the society, that the man in her house, her father, her husband, her grandfather, her husband's father, the generations of men that have told the women that you are weak, and if you go outside of the house, it is unsafe for you. So this is how women have come to believe in this narrative of safety, that it is unsafe outside of the house. But look at what Sister Sarah is saying. Sister Sarah is saying that yes, it is not safe. But why is it not safe? Because there are men outside. So the danger, that is actually the man. It is not that the woman is weak. It is not that the woman is afraid, but that the men outside, they are wicked. But the men outside who commit crimes against women, there are men outside who torture women. There are men outside who believe that women should not step outside of the house, and if they step out, maybe they are not good in character. তাদের হয়তো চরিত্র খারাপ বাইরে বেরোলেই, কারণ কমন ন্যারেটিভটা কি, what is the norm in this world, that women should be locked inside the zanana, and if they are coming out, that means they are not good women, and if you are not a good woman, then you may be subjected to, or you may be put through all of those kind of atrocities, of all of those kinds of disrespectful comments that men usually throw at women outside in the world. So here Sister Sarah is saying that yes, it is not safe so long as there are men about the street. And then what she gives a metaphor, she gives a comparative example. She says, nor is it so when a wild animal enters a marketplace. So if there is a marketplace and there is a wild animal that enters the marketplace, then what do we do? আমরা usually তাহলে কি করব সেই ক্ষেত্রে? We will lock up the wild animal, maybe kill it. We will not shut down the entire marketplace. We will not tell the shopkeepers and the shoppers to go back to their homes and stay inside because there is a wild animal out. What we do is that we will lock the wild animal or kill the wild animal. The marketplace is not affected. So in this example, the marketplace is the world outside of the home, and this wild animal is the man or the men. So then, so she asks, nor is it so when a wild animal enters a marketplace. Of course not. Suppose some lunatics escape from the asylum. Lunatics মানে madmen, যারা পাগল হয়. So suppose some lunatics escape from the asylum and begin to do all sorts of mischief to men, horses and other creatures. In that case, what will your countrymen do? They will try to capture them and put back into their asylum. Thank you. And do you not think it wise to keep sane people inside an asylum and let loose the insane? Of course not. As a matter of fact, in your country, this very thing is done. Men who do or at least are capable of doing no end of mischief are let loose, and the innocent women shut up in the zanana. How can you trust those untrained men out of doors? So this is the logic, or this is the rationale or reason that Sister Sarah gives us. What does she say? She says that in your country that is outside of Ladyland, men who do or at least are capable of doing no end of mischief, that is, men who are mischievous, who commit all sorts of crimes and mischief, they are let loose, and the innocent women are shut up in the zanana. This is like what happens in your country or outside of Ladyland is very much similar to a situation where some lunatics have escaped from the asylum and begin to do all sorts of mischief, like the men are committing all sorts of mischief. So this is similar, it's similar to an incident, similar to an example or in a case where lunatics or mad men have escaped an asylum, have run away from an asylum, and they are committing all sorts of crimes. They are beginning to do all sorts of mischief to men, to the animals of men and other creatures. And in that case, what that country does is that they will try to capture the lunatics and put them back into their asylum. So Sister Sarah says, if that is the case, then why don't they do it? Why do they do the opposite when it comes to mischievous men and criminal men? Why are they let loose in the world and they are made responsible, or they are given such big responsibilities that they run the country, that the men are leaders of the country, when they are the most mischievous, when they do not know how to stop from committing a mischief, and the innocent women who are harmless, who are so called weak, They are shut up, they are closed up in the zanana. So she is asking the Sultana, how can you trust those untrained men out of doors? We have no hand. So Sultana answers. She says, we have no hand or voice in the management of our social affairs. In India, man is lord and master. He has taken to himself all powers and privileges and shut up the women in the zanana. Why do you allow yourselves to be shut up? So this is the reason that the Sultana gives us. She says that we have no hand or voice in the management of our social affairs. Yes, true. Today we do have, a few years ago we did have a female president. Today we do have a female chief minister in our state. Today we do have many women who are working, who work in very high official ranks or very high positions in very big companies. Today we have women who run schools and colleges, factories, companies. Okay, we have women auto drivers, we have women taxi drivers. But imagine the situation that was about 100 years ago, about 150 years ago, about 200 years ago, or even 50 years ago. Did you find any woman working in any prominent or in any important field in the society? No. They did not have any hand or voice in the management of our social affairs. Even if you think of our own female chief minister, and you go back to the time when she was not a chief minister, when she was just the opposition leader, and if you google through the history of that of the of her political party, you will find that she has undergone so many tortures and atrocities against herself. Being a woman, she was subjected to a lot of disrespectful comments, disrespectful actions than any man would have had to suffer. And yet, after all, she had to go through all that struggle in order to come to a position where she is right now. This does not mean that I am speaking in support of any political party. I am speaking in support of womanhood, of female achievers, for whom মহিলাদের জন্য কিছু একটা সাফল্য পাওয়ার জন্য, if we have to achieve anything, our struggle is much more bigger than any man. Because একটা একটা পয়েন্ট অফ দি অফকোর্স সেম, একটা ছেলে ছেলে হোক বা মেয়ে হোক, আমাদেরকে কম্পিটিশনে পার্টিসিপেট করতে হয়. We have to be good in so many things in order to be considered for a work. ইন্টারভিউ তো যাওয়ার আগে অবধি অনেক কিছু আমাদেরকে চেক করতে হয়, ঠিক আছে? But when it comes down to a woman has to overcome, or a woman has to win over all the prejudices of men. ছেলেদের যে একটা সাধারণ ধারণা, আমি খুব জেনারেলাইজ করেই বলছি, অফকোর্স এক্সেপশনস আছে, বাট আমি একটা জেনারেলি এটাই সিচুয়েশন, এটাই সত্যি। ছেলেদের যে ধারণা যে মেয়েরা এটা পারবে না, সেটা পারবে না, দে আর উইক, বুদ্ধি কম রাখে, হ্যান ত্যান। তো আমাদেরকে সেই ব্যারিয়ারটা, সেই অবস্টেকলটা ক্রস করতে হয়। অবস্টেকল কেন? কারণ ছেলেরাই থাকে সব জায়গায় বস, বিকজ দে রুল দিস, they run the society, they run the country, they are the leaders in all of the leading places. যে কোনো জায়গাতেই বেশিরভাগ ক্ষেত্রে 90% of anything is owned by men. So you have to, being a woman, we have to cross that barrier of the minds of men that refuses to consider us equal. So sister Sara is saying Sultana is saying that in India, in my country, in India, man is lord and master. So he is the owner and he is also the boss. He has taken to himself all powers and privileges and shut up the women in the zanana. Why do you allow yourselves to be shut up? Because it cannot be helped, as they are stronger than women. So this is another reason the biological reason that they are stronger than a woman. Man is stronger than woman. So it is this very biological reasons that have been used against women for generations. So the way that we have been made naturally, that itself is against us in this society. So any feminist theory calls for a fight against this biological oppression, that men in the society or the world, they are considering the body of a woman as a marker for her achievements, whereas for men there can be a number of things that can be a marker for achievements: their educational qualifications, their intelligence quotient, okay, how well they can cook, perhaps, uh, how scientifically progressed or scientifically superior a man's mind is. But when it comes down to a woman, she is always weaker. So it is always the biology that puts us back in the race, that makes us lose the race. Freud had said, সিগমন্ড ফ্রয়েড বলে একজন খুব বিখ্যাত সাইকোঅ্যানালিস্ট ছিলেন, সিগমন্ড ফ্রয়েড বলে গেছিলেন that anatomy, I'm writing it in the chat box, anatomy মানে of course the study of the physical body, ওটাকে anatomy বলে. So anatomy is destiny. Sigmund Freud was a man, and he was a leading man in his own profession of medicine. 1800s এর সময় লিখছিলেন, Victorian, he was a Victorian, he was German, he was not an European. So যাই হোক, European Victorian age এর সময় correspond করছে ওনার লেখা 1800 শতাব্দীতে, 1880s এ আর কি ওনার বই আসছে। তো উনি লিখছেন যে anatomy is destiny. So your body decides your destiny. ঠিক আছে, just give me one moment. Yes. So Sigmund Freud, being a patriarch, being a man, being a leading male individual, successful in his own career, successful in his own field of career, he is saying that anatomy is destiny. So if you are not a man, he was a psychoanalyst, অনেক কিছু মানে sexual readings of many literary texts আর কি দিয়ে গেছে। So he is saying that, he said that anatomy is destiny, but there will be another person. এটা বলছে কি, এটা আমি বললাম যে এটা বলছে হলো সিগমন্ড ফ্রয়েড, এটা ক্যাপিটালে হবে, এটা প্রপার নাউন, আমি স্মলে লিখেছি। But there will be another woman, there will be another person who will say that gender, sorry, she will say that sex is natural but gender is constructed. এটা কে বলছে? এটা বলছে একজন ফ্রেঞ্চ ফিমেল ফিলসফার সিমন দে বুভুয়ার। সো যেখানে একটা হাতে আমাদের কাছে আছে সিগমন্ড ফ্রয়েড যে বলে গেছে অ্যানাটমি ইজ ডেস্টিনি। সো ইফ ইউ আর নট আ ম্যান and if your body is not of a man, if you have a female body, then your destiny is fixed to be inferior to man. And on the other hand, about 50 years later after Freud has written, about 50 to 70 years later after Freud has written, this woman is French philosopher, she is writing that sex is natural but gender is constructed. Sex and gender, they are two very different আমরা ওয়ার্ড গুলোকে সিনোনিমাসলি ইউজ করে থাকি কিন্তু ওগুলো দুটো শব্দের মানে কিন্তু খুব আলাদা। সেক্স মানে হলো লিঙ্গ, মানে of course that is determined according to the physical parts of a man and a woman. But genderটা কি হয় ইংরেজিতে? আমরা জেন্ডার মানে আমরা যদি সেক্স যদি বলি মেল আর ফিমেল তাহলে জেন্ডার হয়ে যায় ম্যাসকিউলিন ফেমিনাইন। জেন্ডার ইজ সামথিং দ্যাট ইজ কম্পারেটিভ টু সেক্স। ম্যাসকিউলিন মানে কি ছেলেদের মতন, ফেমিনিন মানে কি মেয়েদের মতন। তো এই যে জেন্ডারটা, সেক্স যেটা একদিকে ন্যাচারাল খুব প্রাকৃতিক আমরা ওরকম ভাবেই জন্ম নিয়ে থাকি, বাট জেন্ডার বলছে বুভুয়ার, সিমন দে বুভুয়ার বলছে জেন্ডার ইজ কনস্ট্রাক্টেড। দিস ম্যাসকিউলিনিটি ফেমিনিনিটি এটা কনস্ট্রাক্ট বা এটা তৈরি করা হয় কারণ what she is giving her answer, her reason, Simone de Beauvoir's reason was that so that men, a female can be continued to kept locked within the zanana or within the household, because it is a patriarchal society, because since time immemorial, সময় যতদূর আমরা মনে রাখতে পারবো না ততদিন ধরে এই পৃথিবী বা সমাজ চালাচ্ছে হলো ছেলেরা, ছেলেদের জাত, ঠিক আছে? the male sex or the gender of masculine, the masculine gender. So they deemed it was they who constructed this concept of gender. তারা তৈরি করে দিয়ে গেছে যে একটা ছেলে যদি তার সেক্স ন্যাচারালি অফ মেল হয়ে থাকে, but maybe he does not walk like all the other men, maybe he is a bit different, তখনই সে হয়ে যাবে ফেমিনাইন। তো এই যে জেন্ডারটা এটা তৈরি করা হয়েছে so that women can be continuously oppressed and so that men can continue to be the rulers, to be the leaders, to be the controllers, to be the makers of the society. This was Beauvoir's argument, and this is also the major argument of any feminist text. তুমি যদি এই টেক্সটটাকেও পড়ে থাকো এখানেও কিন্তু তাই হচ্ছে। So the reason that Sultana is giving that we have no hand or voice in the management of our social affairs because we are weaker than women. And then again she is saying that since we are weaker, we do not have any hand or voice in the management. So these two things, okay, as you can see, no, just one moment. Wait. Okay, let it be. As I was saying, so these two are related to each other. This This is the reason 1 and this is the reason 2. However, এই দুটো reason একে অপরকে support করছে. They're both reversing on each other. We do not have any hand or voice in the management of social affairs because we are weaker. আবার এটাও সত্যি that since we are weaker, we do not have any voice or management in the social affairs. So this is a closed circle from which women cannot get out. আমাদের শারীরিক কি বলবো ক্ষমতা, শারীরিকভাবে আমরা অক্ষম বলে আমরা সামাজিক কাজকর্মে পার্টিসিপেট করতে পারি না, আবার সামাজিক অ্যাফেয়ার্সে আমরা পার্টিসিপেট করতে পারি না কারণ আমরা শারীরিকভাবে অক্ষম, ক্ষমতা রাখি না. So this is something reversing on each other, and this is the philosophy that Simone de Beauvoir also presents, that gender is something that is constructed so that men can continue to be the superior sex, in the society, in the world. আমি এত অবধি রাখছি আজকে. কারোর কোনো সমস্যা আছে? এনিওয়ান হ্যাজ এনি কোয়েশ্চেন আপ টিল নাও, এখন অবধি যা পড়িয়েছি তার মধ্যে থেকে? তাহলে বলো. ওকে, কারোর কোনো প্রশ্ন নেই? ঠিক আছে, আমি অ্যাটেন্ডেন্স দিয়ে দিচ্ছি তোমাদের. জাস্ট 1 মিনিট. Yes. Okay, so পরের আমার নেক্সট ক্লাস তোমাদের সাথে কবে আছে আবার? When do we have the next class?